All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 against New Mexico Zias. Today it's a current temp is, it's kind of cold, chilly, 54 degrees. The high is going to be 75 on this beautiful day. And last time Blast did face New Mexico Zias, we lost 7-6, so it was a very close and good game. And we've got this is a tournament for 24 teams, 6 pools of 4. And if I look here, I can tell you what the give me a second here, and I'll look and see what the results were. All right, so starting off for Texas Blast, is Lila. And here's the first pitch of the game. That's called strike one. So New Mexico Zias are wearing costumes and for Halloween. We got Batman pitching behind the plate. I think that's Captain America. This pitch too, that's hit up over to third base, who fields it, makes the throw, and it's wild. And now Lila is going to be awarded second base because the ball went out of play. So we're going to call that a reach on air. An E5. And that puts us right away in scoring position. Texas Blast is wearing their white top jerseys that have black and blue trim, black pants, and then blue socks with the baby blue belt. Kaylin, our starting pitcher for today's game, steps in the bat. Call timeout. Here's pitch two. That's hit. That's popped up, and that's going to be down inside. That's going to put Lila. Lila's coming around third. She holds up, and she's going to hold up. She had the run, but she's held up at third. So Kaylin has a double out of the second hole, which puts Lila at third. So we got runners at second and third. This brings up Ray. Ray is this game's left fielder. It's a good, strong glove out there. All right, right away we have two in scoring position to see if Ray can bring any of them home. Here's the pitch. That's hit. That's a chopper over to Short. Short does make the play. Does not make the play. The throw is late, so Ray is safe. And that is going to bring in a run from Lila. So we do strike first right away. And this is going to bring in the strong bat of Stephanie. All right, runners at the corners of the first pitch, and it's down in the dirt. That's going to allow Ray to take second. See if my voice is coming in. All right, yeah, it is. Cool. All right. That's ball high for ball two. Pitch high, ball three. Kaylin's drawing the attention from the catchers down on the third baseline, taking some leads. Pitch that's fouled back by me into the other field. Bring the count 3-1. So we have Cece today on the scoreboard and Enrique on the cameras and then Ryan here in the booth. All right, here's the 3-1 pitch. That's hit. That's going to split that gap, and center field does get under it. And Kaylin tags up and does not slide, so she gets tagged out. So that is a double play, but there was a bad throw back to pitcher, and that's going to score Ray. So that clears the bases. And we got 2 runs out of that. It's a ball inside to Kara. That's hit. That's popped up. That's splitting the gap. They're trying to get under it, and there's miscommunication out there, and that's going to allow Kara to have a single. That's going to bring up Alex. Last game, Alex walked, but are only at bat. So 2 outs. Texas Blast scored 2. We have a runner on first. And Michaela comes in to run for Kara. It's a pitch to Alex. It's a high outside for a ball. Oh, foul. And that foul tip went right back into the umpire. He's giving thumbs up. He's all right. All right, steps back in. Call time. All right, 2 outs, runner at first. 2 runs across the plate so far. Now it's got a 1-1 pitch. That's hit. That's a chopper to third, who bobbles it. She makes it in there, and she's going to be safe. And so we got runners at first and second on an E5. All right, brings up little Sam. Here's her first pitch. Shows bunt. Pulls back on a high pitch for ball 1. Shows bunt again, pops it down, and it goes foul. All right, getting a ball from another field out. All right, game 1, and 1-1 count. Got 2 outs. Runners at first and second. It's a 1-1 pitch. Shows bunt again. Oh, she drops it down to third easily. No one was there, and the throw is wild from third base. That's going to score Michaela. Alex comes around and is held off at 3. So that was a beautiful bunt. So there's the third run across the plate, and then brings up Autumn. Mute me. Let's see. Oh, no, go ahead and mute. Keep me on. That's a swing and a miss for strike 1. Okay, go ahead and mute me. Now we got 2 outs, runners at second and third. That's a ball in the dirt to even it out, 1-1. Just 1-1 pitch. That's hit. That's going, and that is just foul. Just foul. Wait a minute. That was a good hit, just landed foul. All right, Autumn gets back in. There's 2-1 pitch, 2 outs. That's ball in the dirt. Catcher does stop it to hold Alex. That's ball 2. So that evens it up 2-2. Pitcher shakes off 1 call. That's ball. That fills it up. That was a good take. All right, here's the payoff pitch. That's down in the dirt for a walk. That's going to load up the bases with 2 outs for Maritza. I have to apologize. I wasn't able to write down everybody's positions at the moment, so I think Mari's in the outfield today. She pitched our first game yesterday. Here's the first pitch that's fouled back. For strike 1. It's funny, I keep telling you to mute me, but the mic's right here. It probably picks me up anyway. That's a hit right to third base. She bobbles it, and she makes the touch over to third base for the out. So Mari grounds out to third base. But for the top of the first, the Blast did score 3 runs. I want to say thanks for our sponsors. HTO, make sure you get your tea or water from them if you're in the area. They have all kinds of different drinks and different flavors to make your own mixes. Also, if you don't already, follow us on our social medias. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Texas Blast X. All right, so we have, starting off, we have Kaylin as our pitcher. Kara is behind the plate. Taking the first base corner is going to be Delani, who was out yesterday with a prior engagement. Second base is going to be held by Alex. Third base is going to be Addison. And then our short is Stephanie. Left field is Ray. Center field is Maritza. And right field is Little Sam. Starting off for the New Mexico Zias is Gabriella, Addison, and Jolene. I will butcher names if you haven't noticed already. Gabriella is their pitcher, and it's going to be very easy to tell who is who for them, as they all each have different costume uniforms. Gabriella has a Batgirl outfit with a gold bat symbol on a black shirt and some Batman socks with yellow tassels. All right, here's the first pitch of the second half. That's called strike. Next pitch, a little high, ball one. One pitch, drop low for ball two.
Morning.
That's hit right to shortstop, Stephanie. She makes an easy throw over to first for out number one. This is bringing up Addison, their shortstop. It's ball low. It's ball inside. It's a good attempt for a frame, but did not get the call. That's hit. That's drifting foul out of play. Strike one. That's hit. That's a grounder to third. Addie picks it, makes the throw to Delani for out number two. Oops. All right, so their third baseman takes first pitch for ball one. That's called strike one. That's pitch inside and low for ball two. All right, so we got two outs. Counts two balls, one strike. It's a pitch. That's hit over to second. Sam does field it, makes the easy throw to first. So that's 3 up, 3 down for the Blast. So that is a very good inning. All right, coming up for the Blast for the top of the second inning, we're going to have Addie leading off, and then we'll be back to the top of the order with Lila and Kaylin, and then hitting fourth will be Ray. right, there's the throw down. And let's get the second inning underway. All right, here we go. Addison steps in on the left batter's box. She swings straight up to the middle, and that is going to get past the pitcher and into the outfield for a leadoff single. First pitch swinging. All right, we're back at the top of the order with Lila. She was our first run across the plate. Reached on air over at third base. That's a check. She wanted it, but she realized she'd lay off on it. It was for ball one. It was a good check. High, ball two. Two balls, no strikes, runner at first. That's ball high for number 3. Addison goes, and she is safe at second on a throw wide to the right. All right, here's the 3-0 count. Runner at scoring position. Pitch. That's down low for ball 4. This brings up Kaylin, who went with a double last inning. We got runners at first and second. No outs. Here's the pitch. That's called strike 1. Kaylin didn't like that. Looked like it was a little outside. But they got the call. Ooh, swing and a miss for strike 2. She was swinging for the fences a little bit on that one. It's the 0-2 pitch. Ooh, that gets past her. That's a pass ball, and that's going to advance the runners 1 base each. A couple practice swings, steps back in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runners at second and third. Here's the pitch. That's hit. That's a liner right into right field. That gets past. That's going all the way to the fence. That's going to score Addison. Lila is on her way around, and Kaylin is over all the way at third. So the official score on that is a double with an E9 to advance to third. This brings up Ray. Ray reached on an error in short. Here's the pitch. That's high, ball 1. pitch. That's down in the dirt for ball 2. Kaylin takes a lead but holds with the catcher blocking that pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. That's hit up to third base. Third base does make the snag. She makes the throw. The throw's a bad throw, and so she does reach on an error again, and that does score Kaylin. So 3 have crossed already in this inning. We have no outs. Runner on first, and it brings in Steph. She takes a strike, and that gets past. There's the throw down to second. Ray steals. The throw was bad, and she does reach on third. So that puts Ray on third after the error on the throw down. Here's an 0-1 pitch for Steph. It's a pitch, that's hit. That's up in the air. Center does get under it and puts up and was there to make the grab, but does drop the ball. And so that's going to score Ray for the 4th run of the inning. And that's going to allow Steph to reach second on an E8. Kara had a single last inning. That's the pitch. That's ball high. So again, 4 runs have crossed this inning, and there's no outs. Runner at third. Here's the pitch, high for ball 2. Alex is on deck, who reached on an E5, and Sam is in the hole, who also reached on an E5. There's a 2-0 pitch. Oh, swung and miss. It's a good cut, just a little early. That's poked right over the second baseman's glove, and that's going to be a single and score Stephanie for an RBI single for Kara. So that was very similar to her last hit, and almost in the exact same spot. So Michaela comes in to pinch run for a courtesy run for the catcher. So Alex did reach on an E5. Just pitch to Alex. She shows bunt, pulls back on a ball. Kara goes to second. Nobody was covering the bag, and that allows Michaela, to reach second on a steal. Pitch that's outside for ball 2. So still no outs. Got a runner in scoring position on second. 5 runs have crossed this inning. Here's the pitch that's fouled back into the other field for strike 1. pitch. Ooh, that was a changeup. Froze her for strike 2. Here's a 2-2 pitch. That is inside to fill up the count. So again, no outs, full count, runner at second. That is ball 4. Take your base, Alex. That's going to bring up Sam, who reached on a bunt. She shows bunt again, and it goes foul. Our runners at first and second. Sam is showing bunt again. Here's the pitch, pulls back, and she checks her swing, and there's a throw down to third, but the tag wasn't there, and so Michaela is safe at third. That also advances Alex to second. So that puts both runners in scoring position. Ooh, that's a good block on a ball outside. That probably saved a run right there. One pitch. That's ball high. That check. So that's going to be ball 4 and fill up the bases. Still no outs. This brings up Autumn, who was walked as well.
Remember your stuff, Autumn. Thumb, shoulder, no split.
First pitch, that's down low for ball 1. That's a hit right to first. That's going to be an out there, but that is going to score a run. It's going to get her an RBI by scoring Michaela. That's called strike from Madi. So we got one out. Runners at second and third. Here's the pitch. Oh, it shows bunt, and it just goes foul for strike 2. All right, Monty's facing 2 strikes. That's did not get fooled on that changeup. She holds her load and pops it into no man's land. That is going to score 2. She advances to second. So that scores 2. That's called strike on Addie. Addie did have a single with an RBI, her last at bat. Pitcher shaking off some pitches. Pitch. Addie pokes it, and first base makes the snag for out number 2. No runners advance. Back to the top of the lineup with Lila. She reached on air and a walk, both times up. That's ball 1. All right, we got 2 outs, runner at second. That's ball, that's pass the catcher, and Madi advances. So Madi's 60 feet away. Lila's facing a 2-ball pitch, and that's down in the dirt for ball 3. That's down in the dirt for ball 4. So very similar to last time she was at bat in the beginning of the inning. That's going to bring up Kaylin, who's probably done the most damage so far of the team. We got 2 outs, runners on the corners. First pitch, this ball high. Lila takes second. So we got 2 runners in scoring position. And Lux in. Here's the pitch, this ball high. There's a throw to third, hits Kaylin's helmet and pops away, and that allows Maritza to run and steal home. That's going to bring Lila to third as well. Here's the pitch. That's called strike 1. And that's poked right past the shortstop. That's going to score Lila and give Kaylin another RBI, who's racking those up. It's going to bring up Ray, who she's reached both times, both on errors. Here's the pitch. That's high. Kalen goes for 2. The catcher throws down, but Kalen beats. And Kalen is now taking third and gets the tag out. We have some conversation going on. I think these might be talking about that the base path was blocked. But I do believe she's going to be out for the third out, as third base did have the ball. So she gets awarded the stolen base for second, but gets tagged on a run to third for the third out. So the blast does do some damage. We've got 10 runs on that half inning, plus an additional 3. So that is going to be a 13-0 lead right now. So as we see, we got Aubrey, Rayette, and Danica coming up for the Zias. All right, looking at the field, it doesn't look like we're going to have any. We do have a little bit of a defensive change. Looks like we have Michaela in center field, and we have Abby in right field. All right, here's Rayette. First pitch is down in the dirt for ball 1. Oh, my mistake, Aubrey. Not Rayette. We have Aubrey, Rayette, and Danica. There's a swing and a miss for strike 1. Aubrey swings and misses at strike 2. No, and that is fouled off to stay alive. So we're going to do the 1-2 count again. That's hit right to first. Delani does miss it. Gets under her glove. And that is going to be a leadoff single. Karen, ball's live. And a bat throw back to Delani, and that's going to allow Aubrey to make it to second. So that's an E5 to reach and an E9 to get to second. That's going to bring Rayette, the catcher. Here's the pitch. That's called strike 1. That's fouled off for strike 2. Immediately falls behind 0-2. Poked it out over to Kaylin, who fields it and gets the out at first, but that does advance Aubrey to third. Have a timeout called by Coach X.
You're not going to catch up, don't worry. You got some requested.
It's going to bring Danica. Here's the first pitch. Inside for ball one. So we got one out, runner on third. That's called strike two. Or strike one, rather. That's hit. That's right. Lined to Alex, who makes the throw and then throw back to third to hold the runner at third so they don't get the RBI out of that. That was a great play by Alex. So that brings them to 2 outs with the runner on third. That's Elia coming in. Who's their center fielder? This ball outside. For ball one. Elia is dressed in a uniform that's styled like Spider-Man. There's a pitch down in the dirt. Good block by Kara to hold that runner at third. All right, 2 balls, no strikes. Oh, Kara didn't like that call. That was called ball 3. That was very close. Elia steps back in. Here's the pitch. She hits it right up the middle, right to center. Michaela bobbles it, but that doesn't matter. She was gonna be safe at first anyway. That does give the Zias their first run. And gives Elia an RBI. There's first pitch to Riley, called strike one. We got a timeout by Xavier. And talk to Kara. I'm probably running the clock a little bit, but it's I think we're going to have a pitcher change. We're going to have Ray pitching now. All right, so we got Ray pitching. Some little defensive changes. Just look like Kaylin and Ray has switched. Ray's pitch was a strike. The count's 0-2. So 2 pitch, swing and a miss for strike 3. So Ray comes in and finishes it out with a strikeout for out number 3. So after 2, Blast has a commanding lead, 13-1. And that's going to call it ball game. So 2 innings played, and we have it to where it is 13-1 in favor of Blast. We will see you in the bracket and when we're going to be playing next, so make sure that you are subscribed so you get the alerts. All right.